Hey y'all, my name is Beth Foley. I'm the Assistant Education Coordinator for South Carolina Forestry Commission. I might look like a park ranger in my uniform, but my position's a little bit different because I'm solely focused on education. I'm considered a non-formal educator, so unlike your school teachers, I don't teach in a classroom. I typically teach outdoors. And I focus on topics like forestry, benefits of trees, and natural resource conservation. So I work with students all age level, from preschool up to college level students, and I even teach adults. So I am based out of Harbison State Forest in Columbia, and I have school groups come out to me and do all kinds of outdoor programs. I also visit classrooms and do programs and work with other groups like Boy Scouts of America, Girl Scouts, and Future Farmers of America. I also put on a big traveling program called Wood Magic Forest Fair, and it's for 5th grade students. So I am required to travel all across the state for my job, and I also get to visit some really cool sites outside of the state too. So it helps keep my job kind of diverse. I get to do different things. I also work with teachers and train them in a program called Project Learning Tree. So this is an environmental education program that's full of hands-on, really engaging and fun activities. So I train teachers in these curriculums. They take it back to the classroom and use it with you guys to get you up, moving around outside, learning about the environment. So those are some of my just day-to-day job duties as an environmental educator. So some requirements for my specific position were to have a 4-year college degree in natural resources, forestry, or education. Not all environmental education positions need a 4-year degree. Some will take a 2-year degree in a related field too. I needed 2 years of teaching experience, and I had non-formal experience. So I worked at a 4-H camp and did environmental education as an internship. And I also I worked as a park ranger before this, so I did education with that position. And some of the just general skills you will need are definitely good communication skills. So I need to be able to effectively communicate or teach a topic to students and to adults. And I also need to be able to communicate with volunteers, communicate with other partners for programs, for teachers with scheduling programs. So just being able to do that outreach and verbal and written communication is really important for my job. So my favorite part of my job is I get to spend a lot of time outdoors, and I get to share my passion for nature and the outdoors with other people. So I especially like to take students out on a hike that haven't spent much time outside. They might be a little afraid to go in the woods or of insects and other creepy crawlies, but we try to overcome that by going and scooping up these critters in viewfinders. So, it's basically like a clear plastic box where you can scoop up spiders, millipedes, even scorpions, and see them up close and personal without having to actually touch them. And they can't hurt you. And, we do some other cool things like eat edible plants. So I just found this in my yard. This is called wood sorrel, and it looks a lot like clover. It's commonly mistaken as clover because it has very similar shaped leaves. And this is an edible plant. It is really quite tasty. It's got a very lemony zest. Some people even put this on their salads. So it's kind of cool just to experience nature in a little bit different way. And generally by the end of our hike, students have maybe kind of opened their eyes to some of these organisms and how interesting they are and even how important they are in our ecosystems. As far as my least favorite part of the job, I would say that there are days and even weeks at time that I have to spend a lot of time inside in front of the computer. You know, with any outdoor position, you're most likely going to have some indoor aspect to it. So whether that be lesson planning, writing, you know, paperwork, doing paperwork, emailing, writing grants for money for programs, there's generally something you're going to have to do inside or even at the computer. So my advice to you is to focus on doing really well in your science classes. Depending on the type of position that you get, you might cover history, language arts, or even math, but your foundation for environmental education will always be science. And when you get older, like in high school and college, I encourage you to volunteer and to do internships. So that those are positions that only last a short period of time, so maybe 2 or 3 months. Things like a summer camp counselor. And that really puts you out there and gives you experience with different job duties, responsibilities, different working environments. And it just lets you kind of figure out what your passions are and what you enjoy doing. It took me several years after I graduated college to figure out exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And that's okay. Until you put yourself out there and experience those things, it's going to be hard to know. So I encourage you to try to really go out and get it and just be a part of what you're passionate about. If you choose a job that aligns with your passions and your loves, you are going to enjoy it much longer. So even if you're not making much money, you're going to be a lot happier in the long run.